Hey everybody, welcome to Black Times Infinity. I'm your host, Cronus, and it's just going to be me, I guess, tonight. Because folks are traveling, and, you know, they're not going to be here. So I know Prodigy's going up to the Bay. Ninja's traveling somewhere as well. And I know Blue is probably making a bunch of sweet potato pies. So folks are busy. I'm at home, though. So I figured, why not get something out? One of the reasons why I wanted to get something out is because I know that folks listen to podcasts while they're traveling. And this is one of the biggest traveling times of the year. So at least you get some kind of content from just me. And if somebody else is doing the intro, what would my intro have been? It would have been bing, bop, boom, 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 bop, bam. I'm on that shit that you wouldn't understand. So there you go. If you know what that's from, I will talk about it in a little bit. That'll be from Kendrick Lamar's new GNX album. And you know that I'm a huge Kendrick Lamar fan, so I'm going to talk about the new album in a little bit. Papa Bear is first in the chat. Hey, Papa Bear. And the listener of the week, once again, is Steve Zor. So thanks. Actually, Papa Bear, if you want to hop on here and chat for a little bit, you can. Let me know, and I can send you over a link, and we can bullshit for a little bit. So holiday season is officially here. And like I said, I want to get something out so you can have something to listen to while you're traveling. Hopefully, because of the climate today, you don't have, some asshole person in your family bringing up a bunch of political bullshit during your Thanksgiving. If they do, you can always just leave the room. So no need to cause drama during Thanksgiving. Try to give thanks for something if you can. I'll give you some funny things to think about, some cultural things, especially if you know at least a black person. So if you're spending time with somebody that is black and you are not during Thanksgiving, and you're doing you're hanging out at their place or their family's place, don't bring pumpkin pie. So I probably talk about it every year, but pumpkin pie is bullshit. Unless you're doing the from scratch pumpkin pie, which is slightly better, but it is still far inferior to sweet potato pie. So just a tip, if you are going to bring pumpkin pie to a person of color's Thanksgiving, it better be on point, legit on point, or people are going to probably frown at you. One of the ways you might be thinking, if you're at one of these parties as well, if your food is kind of flying off, the proverbial table, you might be thinking that, you cooked something good. But if you look in the trash can and the vast majority of those paper plates are upside down, that's a marker of somebody didn't like your food. So that's just a pro tip. Folks will do that. So, and they put it face down to not disrespect you outright, but they will probably mention it behind your back. So just saying, I kind of miss having Thanksgivings up in the Bay Area because about, 14 years ago, I moved back to the Bay, and that's when me and Prodigy started hanging out more, and we had this whole thing called the Ben Had family, and or Ben Had friends, really, but we were basically like friends and family, and we did a Thanksgiving at one of our houses, every year for a long time up until about COVID. And what was cool about that, well, Papa Bear said he has to put a shirt on. Sir, you are on some shit. It's got to be cold out there, man. Well, I guess you have a heater. I mean, not like you live outside. Anyway, one of the cool things about Thanksgiving that I remember was the passing of the torch, so to speak, between our parents and us during the season. We used to always do Thanksgiving at our parents' place, because we were kids. And after I moved back to America, our parents would come to our places for Thanksgiving. We had some really epic parties, and it was a lot of fun to have. I think Prodigy probably had the biggest one. I think they had I want to say something near 50 something people at their place one time. It was crazy. It was a lot of people, and it was just so much fun. Just the kids were still little. My oldest was at the time around like 8 or 9 years old. You know, she's getting into the preteen years and like a little bit later. It was just so cool to see like them and like all the little ones when Prodigy's kids were, well, his kid at the time, he only had his son. He was a baby and a toddler, and then like growing up and just having fun with all that. And I really miss those days. That decade of my life in my 30s was probably like the best, and I loved it. So I want to get back to that in some way here in Chula Vista if I can. But I got some things that I need to do first. So where should I go first, seeing that it's just me right now? There's a couple of topics that I want to talk about real quick. Oh, I am going to start the book club. And if Papa Bear comes on, I'll talk about it. I'll wait for him to come on to talk about that because he reads too, and you should too. I'm just saying, read or listen to some books because there's some really good stories in books, and sometimes you get kind of the inside scoop before some of these books get turned into series or movies or whatever. I know that one of my favorite ones, well, I'll talk about it if Papa Bear comes on. What I'll talk about first is, let me bring up my short list. This is not going to be a long podcast because it's just me, and honestly, it's hard for me to just talk. Oh, yes, I am still here. So yeah, I guess I do need somebody else to hop on. So let's see. Let's talk about. Oh, we'll talk about a movie. I saw Wicked. I took my youngest daughter to go see Wicked last Saturday. So she did one of the songs from Wicked. Can't remember the name of the song for like her Broadway, because she does like Broadway stuff and like ballet, and it's super cool. But I decided to take her to go see Wicked. And I'm usually not a huge fan of like, I don't want to say Broadways, but like songs where I'm like blanking on the names of this genre now, like where they sing along, like the musicals. Jesus, really? That was an easy one. I'm usually not a huge fan of musicals. But I'm trying to like, turn it around a little bit, because, I have girls, and my girls, or at least especially, my youngest one, she likes musicals. My oldest one, not so much. She'll watch them, but I don't think we went to go see. Well, we saw some together, but not a whole lot. But I'm trying to like change my mind and like be open-minded about watching musicals now. But I gotta say, Wicked was dope like heroin. If you can get over the fact that it's a musical, go watch it. And to be honest, like the musical part of it is actually really good because the Cynthia Arvayo, I think that's her name. And I forget the other lady's name. Is it Ariana Grande? I think that's Glinda's name, or the actress / singer who plays her. They have phenomenal voices, but Cynthia, I had no idea like really who she was before watching this movie, and goddamn can she sing. Hold on, I got to send Papa Bear over an invite for the podcast. Give me a second here because I can't. I got to think about where I'm going to put this. He's in the chat somewhere. There we go. That should be the Google Meet. Bam, texted it to him. Okay. Oh, I sent it to a text, though. Probably should have done that. Hold on, let me send it via something on a computer, because my texts are on computers, but probably not his, because that's not very common. Give me one sec here. Pull him up. All right, there we go. So I sent him the invite. Anyway, so this movie was amazing by pretty much any metric except for the fact that it's a musical. But like I said, the singing is actually really fantastic. Cynthia Arvayo's voice is phenomenal. The end of the movie is probably one of the best endings of a movie in recent memory. It's almost like watching a superhero movie at the end. To be honest with you, it's pretty dope, and there's like a nice crescendo at the end of the movie. The build up to the movie, the build up to the end is great. If y'all didn't know, Wicked is basically, it's a story of the Wizard of Oz kind of before. I forget what's the girl that goes there. I forget the girl that goes to that gets sucked up in the tornado or hurricane or whatever tornado and goes to Oz. But Somebody's gonna get so mad. Domino's probably gonna yell at me right now because she's in the chat. But it's gonna give you a few minutes before I can see your chat, so I won't know who the girl's name is. But it's before the Wizard of Oz, and it gives the perspective of Glinda before she was really a witch, and the perspective of the Wicked Witch of the West, and like her story. And it's a really good, and Dorothy. There we go. Papa Bear got it. Dorothy is the name of the main character in the Wizard of Oz. So this is before Dorothy's story, and it's a really great like origin story to both Glinda and Elphaba. So Papa Bear. There we go. Man, that beard is epic. Oh, you're super low on the audio. You on the wrong mic?
Yeah. No, it's here. It's just
okay.
I was facing that way.
Gotcha. What's going on, man?
I got moving around. I was like already getting to bed, and I'm old.
You're old. I mean, dude, I had to take some naps a couple days. Like last week, I had to take like 3 naps, and I was very concerned I might actually go see a doctor. Just.
It was just so yesterday was one of those weird days. Like it's still weekdays. Like so, I was still working stuff.
Hold on, you're still low, like really low.
Let me, I gotta adjust here.
Yeah, I can fix it on Streamlabs, but you'll still be low on my headphones.
I'll get it. Just give me a second.
There we go. No, that's better. Maybe just closer to the mic.
Combination. If you can't tell, a little bit of a upgrade here. So I've got a Shure Super 55. It's the blue, like
nice
classic one, and then I picked up a new Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. So it's a 2-input and a little bit of a monitor. So knowing that I'm going to do a little bit more recording, I was like, I got this, and I was waiting to get the input monitor thing, but so I still had my alarms set. So yesterday they went off, and this doesn't happen to me, right? So I turned off that alarm, my 4 o'clock alarm, and then the 5 o'clock.
Oh, and you're saying 4 a.m. You're saying, right? Not 4 p.m. Okay, that's very unreasonable for a normal person. Just saying. Anyway, keep going.
Sorry, that's when I wake up. And it was like 5:50, and my first meeting starts at 6 a.m. And so I was like, Cindy woke me. She's like, "What time is your meeting?" I was like, "I got plenty of time." It's like, "What time is it at though?" It starts at 6. She's like, "You have 10 minutes." I'm like, oh my god, that never happened to me, because today was more like what my normal day is, which is my 4 o'clock alarm goes off, and I'm gonna go back to sleep, and that doesn't happen. My brain is just spinning, and I'm, thinking of all of the things I could be working on, and it's like, nope, I gotta get to work. So that's normal day. So today was like, I probably should just go ahead and go to sleep. I was getting a little sleepy.
Yeah.
But instead,
there we go. Drinking a beer.
Yeah, I mean, don't knock me too bad, but
dude, I'm not judging. Like it.
Yeah, I gotta keep the calories down. Got enough coming tomorrow. So.
Yeah, I totally get it. I'm drinking. What am I drinking? This is just vodka and a seltzer, Topo Chico. So.
Gotcha. I heard you talking a little bit about Thanksgiving. Saw a pretty good one today, if you want.
Yeah.
So, if Native Americans had given the Pilgrims donkey to eat instead of turkey, tomorrow we'd all be getting a piece of ass instead.
Yeah, that we would. It's actually another thing that's like really weird about the whole turkey thing is that turkey is only normally eaten at like this time of the year, or in like lunch meat. You know what I mean?
Say, or like lunch meat. That's it. Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah.
Like it's so weird. But you can make turkey anytime you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll do the easy, because it's easier to cook just much smaller, just the breast, like you can get in a package, because it's much easier to manage, and it's still several days worth of food. It's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah.
So what?
How you been, man? It's been a while since we've been on the podcast together.
Yeah. Yes, and especially long on being on yours. So
yeah.
I mean, for this crew, you haven't seen me probably with all this going on.
Yeah.
Working space development agency now. Retired from the Marine Corps.
There we go.
Yep.
I was gonna say you got to say that part.
Yeah. So it's funny because I did try to get in while active duty to be an active duty Space Force service member from the Marine Corps, but they wouldn't let us do that. So then I had to retire.
You're too old, right? 'Cause it's 42, isn't it?
So it was going to be like inter-service transfer. So I would have kept my rank and done all that, and stayed in, because it was all, they were looking for folks from the other services with space field type experience.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I've been doing SATCOM for 18 years. Come on. But nope. I had to retire in order to get into the Space Force.
So I actually looked it up because somebody asked me the other day about Space Force. Like, what is Space Force boot camp like? And it's Air Force boot camp with like some extra Space Force shit. And then I also found out that the vast majority of their jobs is like in cybersecurity or cyber something. And their re-enlistment bonus is up to $180,000.
It's serious. So they like, it's a very technical like community, right? Like nothing that they're going to be doing is here on the ground. So everything is much about computers and connectivity. And so it's Cindy told me today, she's like, when I tell people what you're doing now, I have to say, like, I say, oh, he works for Space Development Agency. And of course, they're going to be like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, he's working on, new space technologies for DoD. So it's like, so he's like a rocket scientist?
Rocket scientist, yeah.
Kind of. Like, sure. If that helps you, sure.
That reminds me of like in Idiocracy when he was like, yeah, don't be sad. My wife is tarded. Now she's a pilot. I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Also, Idiocracy. I need to rewatch that again because that's like it's being way more relevant now. They need to make an Idiocracy 2 to like update it because obviously he didn't go dumb enough
to make it unbelievable.
Yeah,
like the shoes. The whole thing with the shoes in the movie.
The shoes.
Yeah. So to like even to the level of clothing people are wearing, he wanted it to be like, this is so dumb, right?
Yeah.
So he went and he found something that was not a super popular and was like a pretty new thing. So it wouldn't have been something that everybody would have known or heard of, and had everybody wear those shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And they were Crocs.
They were really Crocs. Holy shit.
And everyone is wearing them now.
Oh my God. That's scary. Yeah.
It's very prophetic of that movie. It's unfortunate how prophetic it was.
I keep saying we're in the timeline where Marty McFly fucked his mom multiple times. So yeah, that's why we're here.
And it all branched from there.
Yeah. It's all right though. We have 4 more years.
Yeah.
Then it's I don't even have hope anymore. I have no hope for that whole office. Unless something drastically changes with our government. Like we're kind of, the trajectory that we're on is very early 1900s. Where everything is like so partisan right now, and like everything's like black and white, and there's no in between. There's no nuance. You have to be in these two parties, and if you're not, like nobody wants to listen to you. And it's crazy.
You've listened to some John C. Maxwell, right? We talked a little bit about his leadership books and stuff, I think so. Yeah, probably. I think I've listened to at least one. 5 levels of leadership and a couple of them, pretty popular ones. So I think it's new. I'm pretty sure it's one he's put out in the current political climate. Is called High Road Leadership, and that's what I'm listening to right now. It very much sounds like he's writing it literally for the political situation right now, where he's like, it's sad to see, government today is using the simplest tool to get people emotionally charged rather than, making decisions based on the best person to help, keep the country going forward and making progress and doing all those things. And instead, it's just whoever can get you most emotionally fired up, and it's an easy tool to trigger. It's just not necessarily the best one. It's not a it's not what's best for the whole organism that is our society. So it's interesting. He's teaching lessons on what it takes to be a high road leader, and a lot of that is valuing others and stuff like that. It's got some weird sound.
Well, I think that most people don't understand like what a really good leader is, and we haven't had like really good leaders in a while. And actually, after the election, I had to sit down, calm down, and do kind of like a post-mortem of like what I was actually seeing after the election. Of like, it's not half of America that is the problem. And I don't even want to be, because like even saying the problem makes kind of like the us versus them, which I don't like doing. But when you get down to it, it's not even anywhere near half of America that voted for this dude. Like it was, 76 million people, I think it is at this point, maybe 75, 76 million people. There's 330 million people in America. A lot of folks didn't vote. Obviously, a lot of folks can't vote, but a lot of folks they didn't vote. You can see through like the who voted last time and who voted this time. There's a whole bunch of people that are missing. And I think that when you have voters that are missing that were voting in the last election, there's a serious problem with the candidates. And we've seen this kind of, last year, our last election, it was at a time where I don't think you can replicate that scenario again, without having like better candidates. And we've had increasingly shittier candidates. Like both of these, like this one election cycle is so weird because there really wasn't a primary for either party. You know what I mean? And that's like, yeah. So like, how are you going to, I think it's bad for both parties, because what a primary is really good for on both sides is even if like somebody wins, you still see other people in that party and you get to get introduced to them, like what you like about them. You know what I mean? They might not win the party, but you still you might find, like my guy was Andrew Yang. That was my guy. He didn't win, which is fine, but that's like, I loved his message. But when you don't have primaries, like you're missing out on at least probably at least 20 people that you're not going to get introduced to, because both parties decided, we're just not going to do this, America. You're not going to get, your real choice. And that's, we're paying the price.
Yeah. So the Republicans had a few, just didn't go as long as it normally does. And then, and they weren't very serious.
Yeah.
And then obviously it's not unreasonable that in a lot of cases where an incumbent party they don't like, if it's the first term, it's very rare when there's any kind of primaries, because an incumbent is far more likely to win anyways. So they always want to lean on that statistic.
Yeah, but he dropped out. That was the thing though. That was the odd part. Yeah.
Doing the switch now, suddenly it's like, whoop, now what do we do? And then you just pick somebody.
Yeah, and the switch was somebody that dropped out pretty early in the last election. Yeah. That was a problem, and they didn't. The postmortem can just go on forever, but they didn't address like a lot of issues that were actually people had a problem with, which is the economy for the most part. People might want to say, immigration, but I still think that the immigration thing is that's an emotional response to like not really a problem. Like we need immigration in America, at least in my view. And trying to say you're going to just mass deport millions of people is idiotic, especially when we just barely were doing a soft landing with the economy. If you got rid of those people, and on top of that, plus tariffs, like it doesn't make sense. Like to me, that's like a straight road back into a deep recession. I don't see a way around that.
I'm trying to find like a stat that tells the total number of voters over the years, because you talk about 76,000 total votes or whatever, but it's like
million. Yeah, it's raised since, because people think that like the election's over. Like it's not. They're still counting ballots. So yeah. So like when Kamala Harris conceded, she was down by like 13 million votes, but now it's like I think it's like less than 3 million votes. If you look, I gotta hold on, let me look it up real quick. But it's way closer than you probably think. Here, let's see, 2024. All right, so right now the way it stands is Kamala Harris has 74 million votes, and Trump has 76 million votes. But when she conceded, she had like 63 million or less. So I mean, they're still counting ballots.
A lot coming in late, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, she still lost because of the Electoral College. So yeah.
Electoral College, yeah. What I'm seeing is in the 2020 election, there was like 158 million.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like just over half. You were saying.
Yeah. There was a lot of folks. But hopefully somebody will. They're gonna have to do like the next election cycle is gonna be something different because they're gonna have to build up somebody, both parties, over the next 4 years. Because I mean, Trump can't run again. I mean, he shouldn't run again. But he literally can't run again. He might try to do something that'll like
make it seem like you could. Yeah.
Yeah, but he can't. And don't get me wrong, like things are definitely in his favor to like change things to make him run again. But I mean, the guy, he's old. It's only a matter of time before he starts going the same route as Biden. To me, he kind of already has, but people are just kind of like not talking about it. He's somebody of that age should not be running the country. And looking at his cabinet picks shows me that he's very unserious about his cabinet picks. So, yeah.
This chart includes and this is how it's usually reported in the news, I guess, which is as a percentage of like voting eligible population. So 2020 was 65.8% of eligible voters voted, and then it's 63.7 so far this year. So it's actually not as far off as it seems. The number seems weird because it's actually 155 million right now.
Huh, okay.
Way higher than what I was thinking we were. Maybe that was probably based on when we first were looking at it.
Yeah, because like if you looked at like when she first conceded, it seemed like not a lot.
Yeah.
Of people voted, but now it's like they're still counting because that's how elections usually work. That's why I don't like when people say it's like now it's like, oh, she got blown out. She only got blown out by like the Electoral College. When it comes to like actual voters, it's way closer. And I think if they would have changed the messaging or just had a different candidate, unfortunately, like I hate saying that, but I even hate like saying that I want a Democrat to win. Because that party is fucking problematic to this day. Like both parties have their problems, but, I tend to try and downplay. I don't try to downplay because I'll talk shit about both parties. But if you look at like what Kamala Harris is running on, like it's very hard to differentiate her views from like a typical Republican.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest with you.
I think Jon Stewart kind of pointed that too, is like there wasn't a or there were very few subjects that they disagreed on or were, on different position on, or at least that they specifically addressed during the campaign that they were different on. Even this idea that there was this big like push in her campaign for specific LGBTQ like rights things. It's like that was not in any of the ads.
No.
It was not in any of the stuff. It was stuff that others were pushing, saying that she was like specifically campaigning about.
Yeah, she didn't even talk about her being, a biracial woman. She didn't talk about her blackness or her Indianness or any of that stuff. What she hammered home was, hey, I've got a Glock. We're gonna keep these wars in Ukraine and Israel. We're going to, I'm going to campaign with these Republicans. And it's like, that's very distasteful to like your actual base. Like what should be your actual base? It's people that want to hear more about like, how can you, fix the economy for the working class.
Yeah.
Liz Cheney is not a working class person. Getting Dick Cheney to, get your vote is also not a working class thing. Like that's not what people are looking for in a Democratic candidate. And I think they just kind of lost their way on that a lot.
Yeah, tend to agree on that particular point. There's a lot of really good analysis that's been done. Some of the channels I follow, obviously, I follow a lot of the weird political analysis channels and things. So like Mr. Beat does some good stuff. He's a high school history teacher that has got pretty popular on YouTube. He did quite a few leading up to the election on like what educators talk about when it comes to politics and elections and things like that. And it's like, if you look at like these 15 factors, you can pretty much for sure determine who's going to win. And he had one that was basically a 4-part system he used to check things. And it's crazy because in I think the heaviest weight was on like economy stuff. Yeah. And the fact that it was down says that they'll lose. Like he's like, it's really hard to overcome that because it affects the average voter. And if you don't have a way to say like, that's not what we're going to be doing, even though, as we've talked about, and they talk about it too, it's like generally has nothing to do with the person who's actually running or who is currently sitting in that seat.
Yeah.
It's still the way people feel, and what you feel is what you vote.
Yeah, I mean, you have to address it. Like that was the problem is that, if you're sitting there and you're seeing, so this is the not the problem, but for me, I make a decent amount. My salary is a decent amount. So I'm okay. But I do see, the prices of everything going up. Like right now, gas prices are going down. But for a while, I mean, I drive a fucking V8, so when gas prices were like $5, like that was like a lot of money. So, and at one point it was like $6, a gallon. And that shit was crazy. But then when you sit there and you have, grocery prices going up, and even now, they gaslight people into saying that, oh, well, inflation, is under control right now. It's like, okay, so inflation is just the rate of things going up. Okay, it's the rate of things going up. But if inflation already exploded beyond your salary increase year to year, and it's just stayed up high, like you're still fucked. And then if a candidate doesn't even want to talk about that anymore, if they're just like, oh, the economy is great, meanwhile you're putting groceries on your credit card, like there's a huge disconnect there. And when you go so far as to not even like talk about how you would fix it, like those specific problems, like you're not going to win votes that way, Meanwhile, you're saying, oh, I got a Glock. Like nobody gives a fuck about your Glock. Come on.
It's tough. Those are not Democratic Party prime points. But.
No, they're just not. And also, we need more parties. Like I know, I think both of us, we voted for third party candidates. So, because these two parties they're not the business. They're not working for most people in America.
No, I mean, there's a couple like instant runoff stuff in almost all of the other positions. And then I think, if you look at some of the parliamentary systems others use where it's like a coalition government construct.
Yeah.
It's not perfect either, but I still think it at least forces people to find common ground, and that's what is missing from the system right now.
Yes. I think there's
this or that option, and that's not really true.
Yeah, I find it sad that ranked choice voting failed in a lot of elections, and that shows me that there's something deeply wrong with America right now, because they don't understand what ranked choice voting is, or they're just so deeply ingrained of like it's either Democrat or Republican. That's just the way it's always going to be, and it's like that's not the way it should be, and there's a better way, and ranked choice is one of the steps to getting away from one or the other, because to be honest, like both of the parties are so close together on like what they're actually doing as a government that people don't even understand anymore. So I've jokingly said like there really is only one party. It's the big government party. It's the only one. Yep. It's the only option to vote for is bigger government, more government. Yeah. And even though, I mean, we need government for like a lot of stuff, but we're wasting a lot of money on a lot of stuff. And I think that, with the Trump administration talking about the whole Doge, the Department of Government, what is it? Government something?
Efficiency.
First
Yeah.
of
Department
all,
of Government.
let me tell you how stupid this shit is already. All right. Just from the jump, it's called the Department of Government Efficiency. And there's two people with the same exact job supposed to run it. It's not even an official government entity. So it's like it's already, extra. It's dumb. So like from the jump, you don't need that organization to even exist. But yes, we do need to scale back on some of these government. I don't want to say programs because like a lot of programs work, but some of them don't. Some of them don't work as well. Like if you look at like the DoD, there's like a lot of waste there, but it's not waste on like the things that you're thinking. It's not like, yes, we need to pay the military to like do military shit, but it's like when it comes to like contracting stuff, it's like there's a lot of waste there that you need to like really take. Just give you an example. We haven't. The DoD has failed an audit, I think, for like the past 6 years or something like that. It's been for a while. Like they can't actually audit the DoD, so they don't know exactly how much money is being wasted, and that's a problem. And I can guarantee you that the Department of Government Efficiency is not going to touch that with a fucking 3,000-mile pole, because Elon Musk gets money from the government. SpaceX has DoD contracts. So,
Well, I mean, and on some level too, it seems you talk about the redundancy of being two people in there in an organization that shouldn't exist. But there's also already the DAO, or GAO, the Government Accountability Office.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are they doing then?
Yeah,
isn't that their job?
It's the same thing when they announced Space Force. What did I say? We already have SPA War. That organization technically already existed, but it wasn't an official branch of the military, but it was there, and now they renamed it to Nav War. But whatever.
Yeah, so a big part of and there's a few arguments. There's always like there's one or two that you're like, okay, that point makes me think maybe there's some substance to it, and I think of with the Space Force branching away from the Air Force very much the same as the Marine Corps being separate from the Navy. Like, yeah, cool. We could just be a part of the Navy, a specific group of people who do the landings and are like the Navy's infantry forces or whatever, right? But then when, a submariner becomes a battleship captain or a carrier commander, right? And then picks up 4-star admiral and is like the PACOM commander. He does not give a crap about the Marines because he's never done that thing. Yeah. And so it's the same with the space aspects of the Air Force. It's always a fighter pilot who becomes the general, who becomes in charge of these big commands that makes all of the decisions for the whole Air Force and does not have any idea what these space guys do. What are these space weirdos doing?
That's a good point.
So they make decisions that fund them. They don't make decisions that support them. And so in order to allow them to have their own advocacy, that was a big part of why they want them. So to me, that was like the one. I was reading through some. I was like, all the rest of those, cool, got it. But like that one makes a lot of sense, which is super funny because I listened to a podcast the other day that said one of the things they left in the Air Force to handle for them, like you talked about, there's boot camp. You just go to Air Force boot camp. We don't need to run our own, and then we'll bring you through our training, and then you go to this other stuff. But like they left public affairs to the Air Force too. It's like, well, but then they're not going to advocate for your news stories, and they're not going to tell your stuff. Also, there's a serious discussion at the highest levels in the Space Force right now to be like, yeah, we probably need to pull over and start our own PAO section because we might have messed up by leaving that over there.
Well, I mean, it's going to be some growing pains, right? Now, it's funny. It's like I almost think of so when the Marine Corps split from the Navy, it's kind of funny because like the Marine Corps is like the baddest ass branch out there as far as like basic, military unit. Marine Corps we're the best. But
I mean, we're talking in an over here, but yeah, sure.
Yeah. Obviously, but if you look, I will if you take a fucking Marine boot up against like any other boot in any other branch, I'm picking the Marine. So because he's been through he or she has been through some. They have been through some shit. All right, in boot
13.
camp. 13 weeks of
8 and 9 or whatever it is, 8 and 10.
Yeah, and we know it's different. It's crazy. But I think that like the Space Force is almost going to be like they're going to have to be like the nerdiest branch. Like they're going to have to bring like that same Marine Corps, but like with like brain power. You know what I mean? I'm not calling like Marines dumb or anything, but you have to like the physical component of the Marine Corps. Even though as a Marine, I'm going to say that's probably not the hardest part, but you do have to have a fucking tough body to make it through boot camp after a while, or just ignore shit in your body that's going on and just push through it. But I think that Space Force is going to have to be like they're going to need like the brainiest people out there that can make some stuff work. And that's going to be very interesting because usually that would be like the Air Force component, but they're going to have to out Air Force the fucking Air Force, just like we out Navied the Navy, but not really because yeah, Navy's kind of. I can't say they're all soft because there's Navy SEALs, right? But, yeah.
A lot of them are super tough too. I mean, it just until I don't know. I think after a little while, for all the services, we all get tired at some point. They wear us out. So like the joke is always on the Chiefs, right? Getting big and not being able to be fit anymore. But it's like, dude, they've been stuck on a ship for 15 years. What do you want from that guy?
Yeah, it's also knowing like what your actual job, what your job and standards are. You know what I mean? If like usually the standard is like that's the bottom part. If your standards are low, then a lot of folks are gonna law of averages. You're gonna have people that are down there. It's probably gonna be a lot of them because that's the easiest route to go, especially if it has nothing to do with your job. Like if you don't have to fucking worry about storming a beach or having to deal with desert or the fucking extreme cold, so you could just go back to your ship and it's just there's not really a physical component to that. It's different. It's a different mission.
Yeah. You brought up book club. Let's
yes,
do the books.
That's who I wanted to transition to. So I'm going to start the book club starting today. I'm on the fence like what to call it. I was thinking about calling it the Infinity Book Club, but I think that's already taken. So I'm thinking like maybe like a Times Infinity Book Club. I don't know. The name will be up in the air. But I wanted to start the book club with a book that is going to be from a black author from my favorite genre right now of books, which is a lit RPG, which is a literary RPG role-playing game, which is basically where someone gets taken from Earth and then gets put into a world that has gamified like physics or whatever. So it's almost like I want to say like isekai if you watch anime at all or read manga. It's like that. So basically there's like you have like stats when you get into this world and you can improve upon your stats. Some of them you can die and get reincarnated or just what do you call it, respawn. Some of them you can. So there is an author, his name is Aileron Kong. He's a doctor, and he is who's called the father of lit RPG in America. So he's the guy who actually brought the lit RPG genre to America, and he has a book called The Land. So if you can pick up this book, and I'm going to give, I think for this first book, I'll give 3 weeks to read it. I'm going to reread it or listen to it. You can do it on audio or physical book to get done with this book. All right. I've already read the whole series, but I'm going to reread the first book. The character his name is Richter, and he's a mixed race guy. He gets dumped in this place called the Land, and he has to deal with basically like elves and he has to like build a whole like city himself. Like there's a lot of world building in it. It's a really good book. It's not. I'm not gonna say it's not the best lit RPG, but it is up there. It's a very highly rated lit RPG series. I love it. The problem that I have right now is that Aileron Kong has not. He's slowed down significantly, like his writing for the series, and I'm waiting for like the next one to come out. Still to this day, which kind of sucks. But he's written another book, kind of in between, which is fine. I mean, he has a lot of stuff going on. So, yeah. So the book of this one will be called The Land by Aileron Kong. And 3 weeks from now, which is, let me see here. So the 4th, on the 18th of December, I'm going to talk about this book on the podcast. All right. And if you are in the chat, I can bring you on. So if you read the book, I would like to talk about it with you on the podcast, live streamed. And we'll talk about it.
So the whole series, the first part of the title is called The Land. So the first one is the land founding.
Yes.
And so it's not as good as Cradle.
Well, so Cradle is not actually a lit RPG.
Yeah.
Cradle is quite good. Yeah. I know Threshold's coming out, right? This is going to be short stories, but that'll be another thing. All right. So, Cradle's another really good book, but I wanted to try to do at least like the first book from like a black author of like a book series. Yeah.
I love it.
But yeah, I will get to the Cradle. Yeah, I will get there. Yeah, because there's a whole bunch of other books that I mean, like literally, like, I bought a physical copy of a book right here, Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinneman. This is probably like my favorite fucking lit RPG book. Because Papa Bear knows. I try to get him to read this all the time.
Yeah, pushing Dungeon Crawler Carl for a while.
Yeah, and you see my this is my like page. Can you see this? Oh wait, hold on. There you go. Save your progress. Would you like to save your progress? Yes, no. It's like nice. my book. What do they call this thing? Bookmarker. Yeah. So yeah, I bought the physical copy of Dungeon Crawler Carl, which we'll get there. This is one of my favorites of all time. And Matt Dinneman's a cool dude. I chatted with him on Twitter a few times.
Yeah, lots of experience getting webcams to focus on Lego. You got to like put it up there and then cover up your eyes so that it focuses on the thing closer.
Ah, yeah. Cover up the eyes because it knows. Yeah.
Face, yeah. Keep trying to focus on your face.
And I've got a smart like camera now.
The one that'll follow.
Yeah, it'll follow me. It's crazy. It like it knows to like keep my upper body or just my face or my lower body or close up and all that stuff. So it's been
moving around.
Actually, what does close up do? Does it like really zoom in on me? Oh no, it doesn't go that far in. Okay.
You're pretty close up.
It wasn't that close. It's all right. And there's like an AI thing which I'm not going to turn on because I don't want to train Skynet. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I was in class last Friday and like we had to fill out this checklist. And so you're just checking these boxes. She's like, just print them, fill it out later. But I'm sitting there with my laptop and the PDF is open. I was like, why can't I just put checks on this thing and save the file and turn it in that way? I don't need to print the thing and scan it. It's stupid. So I was like, I'm just going to figure out how to add some check marks to it. And I saw that Adobe like Acrobat, like the one you can edit all your PDFs or whatever, has a little AI tool built right into it. And I was like, what's this? Clicked on it and it's like create a AI image right in the PDF. I was like, green check mark. Okay, just put that in there. Cool, done.
It's like, nice. Yeah,
made a fancy little check.
Nice. So. Full disclosure, I use Adobe AI. I think it's called Firefly for all of the thumbnails for the podcast now. So if you ever see like the cool thumbnails for the podcast, that's Adobe AI.
Yeah, I need to work on that. I've been I guess update too. I was streaming some of that Timberborn game. I've been doing that on Twitch a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Tell us more about Timberborn.
You want to know? I mean, I can share my screen. Hold on, let's open in another tab. So Timberborn.
He's playing it right now the whole time.
Yeah, it's rolling. No, I paused it because I ended the stream and we still haven't gotten our first drought. Anyway, so let me catch you up because that
sounds like Sims.
Yeah, it's a simulation kind of setup. So the lore associated to it is post-apocalyptic. Humanity has managed to wipe itself out on the planet, and so if we think the creatures that are available on the planet that are industrious, kind of like us, and change the environment to suit their needs, the next most industrious type one is a beaver. So the beavers society becomes the center society for the planet. They're recovering and trying to rebuild the planet, and you are starting a colony somewhere on the planet, and it's got really great water physics, and unlike a lot of other city builders or civilization builders that are generally our society was sprawling outward, you're okay, here's city center, and you build roads and build utilities and everything only spreads outward. They have a lot of verticality because you're building a dam, and then you can build a thing on top of it, and you can build another thing, and you can build another thing. So it's got a lot of structural upward building, which is super fun.
Yeah.
And so puzzling that out, being I could build a raised structure and a thing, and then hang this over, and then build a new thing there. And so you're kind of figuring that out as you go. You can, one of my favorite maps to play on is the smallest pre-game preloaded map or whatever. It's, so the cube that you can use as the metric of it, because think Minecraft as far as structural building, there's squares. It's 50 by 50, so it's very small. But you can still build up, and so you have to do a lot of layering and overlapping. It's been fun.
No, it's good. I mean, because there's gaming in general, it's just finding the thing you want to play.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's a game that is very much feels like it was made for me. I am, this too. I'm very OCD. I love figuring out processes and solving puzzles and being detailed on things. And it's got 1,001 ways to accomplish it, and you're just trying to find the best way you can manage with the scenario that you're in. So it's pretty fun.
I'm actually looking at it. I'm looking at it on Steam right now. It's very beaverish.
Yeah. It's silly, right? So I mean, it's cool and it's fun, and the puzzle and the stakes are high, but it's also silly. It's beavers, man. It's so on the stream earlier, a buddy of mine, Radio, I think you got to meet him once or something. So he was in the chat, and his fiance is sitting in the back of the room with him. They're just hanging out and listening to my stream or whatever. And he's like, wait, Jamie just asked, are you playing with your beavers, and are they wet? And I had to explain. I was like, no, not yet, because it's so early in this particular build that I haven't had a chance to set up the processes so that the beavers can be wet, because that is a part of it. They do want to be wet.
That's hilarious. So it's on Steam. Is that where you got it from?
Yeah.
Okay. It's on early access right now. So this is why I kind of love. Honestly, a lot of the games that I play right now are early access.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, that's what I love. That's one of the things you don't get with console gaming is early access games. So my Steam Deck, which is literally sitting right here, I play it all the time.
Nice.
I've been playing Hades 2 a lot. I think I have 130 something hours in on this game, and it's not even out yet. So
yeah,
unfinished game. I'm just playing endlessly.
What was it called?
Hades 2.
Hades 2.
You ever played the first one?
I thought you said 80s 2. I was like, was this some kind of retro throwback to the 80s game?
No.
What are we?
Hades, the Greek god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha. I don't think I played the first one. I might have. I don't know.
The first one's really good, and the second one's even better. So it's basically it's a Rogueslike game. So basically, the game is very difficult. You ever played a Rogueslike game before?
Yeah, I played one that was one of my favorites. It's Rogueslike, but it's 2D side scroll ninja stuff. It's fun.
What's it called?
I'd have to go back and look. It's because it's ninja something.
Yeah.
But it was very good. I think it's one of the few in a long time that I was having so much fun. I made sure that I got every single achievement. I'm just going to get all of them because I'm having so much fun. I'm going to do whatever. Okay, I got to start over again. Mark of the Ninja.
All right.
So part of it is you have to select specific outfits, and you have to select specific tattoos, and you have to select specific things, and it changes your skill sets. And so then you go into a specific level based on the choices you made. You have to kind of attack the level in a certain way. If you don't, then you're at a serious disadvantage. But then like, so you could choose a build out sort of that's like full combat style. Like you just plan on going in and just waxing everyone on the level.
Yeah.
But then if one of the achievements was for that level was for no one to see you and for you to accomplish all the objectives and completely sneak through, means you got to change the build out and do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Super fun. So you might not have unlocked some of those things. You're like, oh, I got to go unlock this other thing, which means going to this level and doing it a certain way. It was very the replayability, which some games have, some games don't. That stuff.
Yeah. This looks fun. I might get this. It's literally like $6 on Steam right now for the remastered one.
I played it when it first came out. It was so good. I was super obsessed. Like it was one of those ones that I went on TAD trips like to do conferences and would go back to the hotel room and play it until like passed out and like would go back to the conference the next day. Like
I'm gonna buy it. It's so fucking cheap.
And it's the graphics are good. Like it is even in the original version, it was pretty looking. Like I don't know, it was fun. The blood spray is quite good.
Yeah, I was like when I clicked on it, it was like I had to put in my birthday because I didn't log into Steam yet on the thing. I should have brought up Steam like the actual app, but I didn't. I forgot.
Oh, so it's quite gory.
Yeah. Let me just do this.
So yeah, it's one. Sorry, we're just playing.
Hold on, I pulled up my actual Steam.
I guess you do normally do this on your guys' show. I was like, sorry, we're totally going off on video games.
No, it's gamer stuff is we're good. But yeah, it's totally within our wheelhouse.
So one of my I love that it's early access, but this version that they just published, version 6, included a lot of really good water physics things. But probably the biggest thing for me that has been a big change for me, because I was playing version 6 in experimental mode. So I always go even a step further, go past playing early access and go to like, I want to play the experimental versions and give you feedback.
Yeah.
When they published it, they also published their workshop. So now all the mods are available. Mods are easy to actually download and install through Steam. And somebody built, and there's a couple of them, built like a whole other faction. So there's 2 like main in-game Timberborn factions. Mm-hmm. And this guy completely created a completely separate mod with a whole separate faction. And that was super fun to just play this whole different structure and try to learn how the technology integrates. And is like relearning the game, but not all the fundamental mechanics, but how this faction works. I don't know. I had a blast playing that too. So.
Oh, that's cool. I just got the game, by the way. Just added it to my Steam library.
Mark of the Ninja one?
Mark of the Ninja, yeah.
Yeah. It's good. I think when you guys get back for your regularly scheduled episode, instead of having this weirdo on there, you're going to want to talk to them about it. You'll be like, dude, I've been playing this game.
You're not weird. You're one of my favorite people. So, yeah, I'll look forward to playing it. I have time. I have time to play it. All right.
Give it 15 minutes of your time. Just try it out, and you won't put it down.
I don't know. I mean, I'm a huge Rogueslike gamer right now. Like it's been like my jam for like a while.
I will say it's very lightly Rogueslike because like it came out before. What was like the first one that is kind of what people are defining as that now.
I mean, Hades was one for that was the biggest one, but there's like Dead Cell was another one. There's been a few.
I think it was even pre-Dead Cells, but like just this. It's where because it's so hard. That's what people like think defines Rogueslike. It's like that's not the point. The point is that you should have options to sneak a level or combat a level, and generally if you choose combat a level, like it's gonna be hard because the fights are hard. But if you can improve your stealth and do some of these other things, then you can kind of rogue through it. But
yeah, and I think one of the cool things about roguelikes games is that the fact that in the beginning you're probably going to die a lot, but it gives you like incentives as you go on after you're dying to like make it a little bit easier, and then to craft the kind of gameplay that you want to do, and to look for like these certain upgrades in the run to like give yourself a better chance of winning. I think those are like the best kinds of like, to me, like the best kinds of roguelike games. It's hard to fucking say. Mm-hmm. Anyway, are the ones where you think you found like the best build, you beat it, you get your run in, and all of a sudden, like the next time you play, you get fucking demolished. You know? Yeah.
I did some weird stuff like back in like maybe it was early Fallout days, maybe it was Fallout 3. And like I decided I wanted to try to go full tech only, like just be a super nerd and like invent everything and see if I could survive. You cannot. It is not possible. It's just like you can invent cool stuff, but like you can't survive a fight at all. Like it's not worth playing that way. It is terrible. I had to start over. It's like, okay, that didn't work.
Yeah, you need violence at some point. You know, you got to be able to defend yourself. Yeah.
I was trying to be like, can I put the tech stuff out? Like, can I throw a thing and stun them all and then go that way? No. Doesn't work.
Yeah. All right. What else is on my handy dandy list here? I know there's one subject that you're not going to know anything about. It's Kendrick Lamar's album, but I can save that for later.
Yeah, I don't even know those words. I also didn't watch Dan to Dan, whatever you guys have been talking about.
Dan to Dan is like, dude, if you want to watch an anime, I'm just saying it's one of the best. It's my favorite anime right now.
I like anime so much that I feel like if I started to actually give any time to it, I would lose so much time that I don't already have. Because when I first encountered anime, so I took a film appreciation class in high school, and we watched Akira.
Love that.
It's a very, very good one. And so then I was like, okay, I like that. So I mean, this curriculum was one of the best I've ever. It was that, and we did Seven Samurai, and we did like he knew like how to hit you like across this whole spectrum of storytelling, and those two made me like I want to learn more about this stuff. So I started watching a little bit, and I got into Dragon Ball Z, and got super obsessed with Dragon Ball Z for a while, and was like, I can't go down. I can't keep going into this kind of stuff. And I think anime has this weird knack for doing that for me. So I'm like, yeah, I'll follow other things for now, unfortunately.
So a couple of things. What's interesting, so about Akira, it's like that's not my first one that I watched, but it's a fantastic anime. If you listen to this podcast, you haven't watched it, I mean, you need to watch it. It's like that's kind of like core anime. But when I was on the 11th MEU, and MEU stands for Marine Expeditionary Unit, in 2002, I went to Singapore, and they re-released it in theaters, and I watched it in Singapore,
that's awesome.
in theater, and it was dope. And I think another thing that's really good about anime, especially if you're a guy, especially a young man, watching, especially like shonen style anime. This is like kind of most anime that people watch. Is that the main character is always like a guy or kid that's kind of like the shunned aside kid, and then all of a sudden he finds like his power, and he gets to like build upon his power constantly over time. And I think that's like what most people kind of dream on doing, is like being the guy that was kind of like, you know, not accepted at first, but then you gain all these skills to become a better person, and then you just become like a badass. That's what we all kind of aspire to do, right? And it's very appealing to, I think, any kid. You know, I think that's why it sucks everybody in. And the crazy thing about anime is that like, some of these animes, they last for a long time. I mean, Jesus Christ, One Piece is like probably on like episode fucking 1500 or something like that. So, yeah. Or more, probably like 2000 by now, but yeah.
Yeah, it's been around a while. Yeah, you're right. That's probably what calls to me too, and that's probably why I was like, yeah, I need to pick my like things that make me not feel like a broken person kind of mindset. Like hear the story and know like I you know, does it pulls the heartstrings so well because you know I felt like I did that. I was like struggling and made it to, you know, be successful as an adult. It's like that didn't necessarily have to happen in seeing these stories. One of the things I was thinking when you were talking about it was the narrator from Neverending Story. It's like that kid, you know, who's picked on his, but in the story, he gets to, you know, imagine himself as this, you know, powerful creature and be a part of the story, and then realize towards the end of it, you're like, you are the most powerful thing because you create these whole worlds with your imaginations.
Yeah, it's interesting, from me and you talking about this because obviously we're both Marines, and it's like it's very like anime-ish of like becoming like a badass. Like if you have an opportunity to become a badass, like you can actually do it. But I think that there's like a lot of kids today that they don't know like how to do it. You know what I mean? And they don't have
Mhm.
an opportunity to become like the main character or the hero in a story. But there's ways out there to do it. This is another reason why I like doing martial arts. Like
Yeah.
me doing jujitsu is literally like being fucking Goku. You know what I mean? It's like you get to watch like you kind of sucking, and then like working your way up to like being like the badass. You
Yeah.
know, and those are gonna like endlessly appeal to a lot of young men. I can't say for like for girls because it appealed to my oldest daughter, but it hasn't appealed yet to my youngest daughter. So
Mhm.
I can't say it appeals to all girls, but I can almost all little boys. When the first time you see, Goku throw a Kamehameha or go Super Saiyan, like you're like, this is like the only thing you want to experience in life up to that point, is to be able to throw
Yeah.
a fucking Kamehameha or level up to a Super Saiyan.
Well, and like if you start with Z, the first one you actually see is Gohan, not even Goku, right? Gohan is the first one to like throw this massively unexpected power thing out there, and he's a little kid. So you're
Oh,
like,
when
whoa,
when he throws like the super, yeah, yeah, yeah. But he doesn't
like
become,
power
but Goku becomes the Super Saiyan first, though.
plant.
Yeah, yeah,
But that first, it's like it's the first or second episode. They're like measuring power level, and it's not actually Goku. It's Gohan behind him, about to like blast the whole
Oh,
freaking thing out.
sorry, you started at Z. That's why I'm confused. I started at
Yeah, if
Dragon
you start,
Ball. Yeah,
yeah, I went back to Dragon Ball because of
yeah, yeah,
weirdness when they. So like, if you start with Z, that those first couple episodes, it's like it's not even focused on Goku. It comes
yeah.
back to
Well,
Goku.
because he dies. So yeah,
It's good stuff. You said being the main character in the story that made me think of the Fat Electrician. I don't know if you know his channel, but
I do. Yeah, yeah,
he does that all the time. He's going through. It's like this because this guy's the fucking main character. You're not gonna be able to kill him. What are you doing?
yeah.
You don't realize he's the main character of this story.
You know what's funny is like after you have kids, is like you are no longer the main character in certain scenarios. In a lot of scenarios, like like anytime I go to school with my youngest, like I'm an NPC. Like I'm not. She's the main character. I'm not. And it's very interesting to like take that step back and be like, it's okay.
Yeah. Like, what can I do to make your story cooler?
Yes, exactly. That's how that you're supporting cast. Support your kids.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, there's awards for that too.
Yeah, yeah. I love it though.
That's supporting.
I didn't think that I didn't think about like the whole like being like not the main character up until like my 40s probably. No, like probably late 30s. Late 30s when I was like, hey, like my kids like the way that human society is going to continue to get better is not through me anymore. It's through like what I can give to my children, and they have to like, you got to pass the baton to them, give them the right tools so they can make it better. I can do what I'm doing right now, but I mean, my time on this earth is finite. Like at this point, I'm planting seeds for trees that I will never see the shade for, and
Yep.
once you realize that, I think you might become a better person, maybe, but there's half my life is gone, at least. So I got to do what I do to make sure that my kids can do their best.
Yeah, on average, more than half. I think I
Yeah,
saw something the other day. Like people talk about, over the hill, halfway there, midlife, whatever, at like 50. It's like, but the average lifespan is 70 something or 80 something. So it's like, so it's
yeah,
38. 38 is halfway. So if you're over 38, you're over halfway. It's like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah. My aspirations of living to like being 90 or 100 are just like honestly, like I didn't think I was gonna make it to 25,
yeah,
and I'm past that now. And then like now the big one for me is gonna be 55 because that's when both my dad and my uncle died. So that's like for me, it's like I got 10 years, hopefully more. But if I get 10 years, like I'll be satisfied. So yeah,
I know you. Yeah, we've definitely talked about those numbers for you before. So it's every day you wake up for, right?
Yeah, yeah. That got
Did you
dark.
look at
Sorry,
this?
y'all.
Yeah. Oh, someone said that to me earlier today too. It's like, oh, I'm here. Maybe it was yesterday. And I was like, everyone you wake up for, right?
Yeah.
Did you see the post in Discord earlier?
I did not. What's going on? Well, I saw a post posted, but yeah. There was something that. Go ahead.
There's a letter here. So you remember the thing we got at the barbecue?
Yes.
Someone came.
We got a grant
and took a photo with us.
Mm-hmm.
We need to schedule another photo.
We got another grant.
A different one, yeah.
Oh shit! All right, from who?
It's called the Hanger Charitable Foundation. It's one that Alan wrote. So now we both have one under our belt. I won one and Alan won one. So
nice.
we both the grant. So I'm excited about that. I got more to come, obviously. There was I don't know if I told you this. So there's a public affairs guy that I've been kind of working with to serve as a volunteer to do our public affairs stuff. So, hey, you write the press releases, you do the media scheduling and stuff. I haven't had much work for him. And so now I was like, they gave us template. They kind of want to organize the press release stuff to support the organization on their end and our end. So I was like, can I send you this template and you do the press release write-up so I don't have to do that work? And he's just like, what's the deadline? Well, I don't know yet, because they're going to have, the whatever day they can come do the big check photo. But unlike the other group, like they already sent the check. So I'll worry about that later. I wanted to make sure that it's good, like, because they want to do the photo.
Yeah.
But I'm like, does that mean I have to wait until I've taken the photo before I do this check? Where do you send this check? I'll call them tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but maybe Friday or Monday, and make sure. But yeah, same amount. So I was like, whoo.
Awesome. Make progress, man.
Yeah, every little bit. And the second one ticking through doesn't feel like a fluke. That's where it was like that first one. I was like, man, that could just happen. Maybe they're just easier to get. But 2, and then I'm hopefully they keep ticking through. We've put in like 30 grant applications. So
I mean, law of averages, right? So it's got to go through. But also, I mean, we have made you specifically, obviously the organization I helped start, but I've had to take a step back for reasons. But you put in so much work with others to keep this. Hold on a second, Riley.
You're good.
Sorry.
You're good. I'm getting the open back ones for the next monitor set, so that way I can still hear dialogue in the room too. So I was like, I've realized something. I'm like, I can't hear anything. What'd you say?
Yeah. Well, she knows usually like I can't hear. So anyway, so much work has been put in from you to get this, first of all, started, kept it like going and like really advancing it while you were an active Marine, which has been incredible. and now we've come so far in like what, 2 years? Like,
yeah, pretty much. I mean, so
yeah, I remember having to do the same thing.
There we go. Yeah. So I mean, 3 in December technically, right? So 2021, but like,
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I would normally say, but it takes a while to get things going. Not with my dumbass going and getting us an ambulance within 30 days of starting the thing. So I mean, we kind of had to hit the ground running at least a little bit on some stuff. Like it was.
Yeah. And now there's at least 2 or 3 ambos now.
So we have
and a bus and a property. Yeah, and a trailer and a property. Yeah. So that's a lot.
Yeah. And my goal right now, the short-term goal, we got to get the shop up and running in the garage at the new house, and just enough so that we can finish and make Roadrunner 1 like presentable, like look like a pretty clean camper. Like I want to panel everything. I want to try to get the floor in before January 23rd. That's kind of I think that's the right date.
Is that the King of Hammers?
Hammers, yeah, King of the Motos and King of the Hammers. So we'll go out there for that whole event. I won't be camping out there the whole time. But remember, we did manage to get that camper group camping out on the other property in 23. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so a couple of them have expressed interest in potentially setting up their rig in the booth also. So we might be able to have 2 ambulances kind of like squeezed into the booth space.
That'd be cool.
So this is our specific branded one. Here's the table. We can talk through something, and then you can look at another one. That would give us, at least a second or maybe second and third person to hang out around the booth, talk about the mission, talk about ambulance living, different pieces that they know. They won't know. None of them are going to be able to talk about Rescue Residence's mission like I can, or like Maddie could, or like you could. So we'll only need to complement whoever those campers are.
Yeah.
But I mean, these guys would potentially want to come with us because then they get to go to King of the Hammers for free.
Yeah, and honestly, like I forget the couple, but like it was an older couple. They had like this insane setup. I don't want to say insane. It was a really nice setup. And this guy, like, he's like an engineer, and like, say again.
Yeah. Talking about Orig. The yellow one, right?
The yellow one. Yeah, that was incredible. Like the way that they like engineered like this like different layer system to like keep it insulated, and like they had like this, like when they rolled up, like they basically made like a living room outside, like within like a matter of minutes. And it was just it's crazy, like the amount of ingenuity that they put into this rig. And it like are they one of the ones that are trying to come out?
So right now, so I started bringing all of them, and then anybody new I'm connecting with into at least a chat group. And I need to bring the board in, but I wanted to kind of talk to just the camper folks first.
Yeah.
And then what you remember Najifa? She said,
yes. Oh, she had the new one, right? They had just bought it. Yeah.
It was their very first trip out. So she's expressed an interest in helping do the planning for the event for next year. So do the same kind of camp out. So she'll help the board. So have the board, like we'll build a committee out of just 2 or 3 of y'all, and then let her like kind of complement it with maybe 1 or 2 other volunteers too to help plan the whole event. So that way, I don't have to do the planning for each of the events. Hey, get us a couple of music acts, build a schedule of events, like do all the normal event planning stuff. She said that sounds kind of fun. She might be interested in that. So that'd be nice to have someone else outside of just the board, I think.
Yeah. That'd be good. I mean, yeah, because then they have actual, experience with like living in those rigs, and they're just, I find it like really cool. Hopefully, someday I'll be able to like do the same thing of like at least building one of my own to like see what the experience is like, and like actually going out and like, camping and stuff. And well, it's not camping, but like living in one of them for a little bit. And like, so I want to honestly, if I could like take like a month or 2 off and just like travel around and just see like my old Marine Corps buddies, like I would just do that. You know what I mean? Just to like go out there and visit my buddies. And I think it'd be like a really cool like series to like do and like catch up on like with my old friends, and like showing people what it's like to like live in one, and like the ups and downs of what it's like. Because I think for a lot of folks, they don't know what it's like. They don't know like some of these spaces are like really nice to like live in. And yeah, just hopefully I get to a place soon where I can do that. I know on like December 10th, I have a thing with the VA, so we'll see what can happen after that.
There you go. Yeah, I think, and that's so like you mentioned, like it would make a good series, and I'm assuming you're talking about like do some videos, do some storytelling as you're going on this trip. Right? Yeah, and I think that, and that's part of the thing I have in our plans is like it's inherent in this program for them to tell their story. And I think that not only is the adventurous part of just living in a camper and going and seeing new things that people are going to follow them afterwards, but it's the story of going from where they were when they first made contact with us, however that happens, to getting back on their feet and getting, starting to look forward towards a job and seeing a future path for themselves that includes this adventurous idea. That story, I think, is going to be inspiring to a lot of people. And I really want to make sure that we build a system that helps them tell that story. So that's a big core part for me too. So. Yeah.
I mean, I think, most people don't know of like some of the hardships that folks in the military have gone through. I mean, like me, I've been relatively successful after I've gotten out, but I've gone through some. Even right now, I'm like I went through some hard shit. I've just been fortunate, I guess, enough to like be able to like get through it. But it's been like with a lot of help, and I don't talk about like how much help that I get. Usually, with my own issues, and there's a lot of folks to where they need a lot of help too, and they don't have the resources that I have, unfortunately. And I want to be in a position, or we as an organization want to be in a position to like help them get back to like where they want to be, and then also tell the story of like how this can happen. So I think that most people in America, they don't understand that like it's very easy for like a lot of people to kind of fall off, because our society is just like our social safety net is almost non-existent. It's very thin.
Yeah, when you moved down there, we had a conversation that started with like most Americans live one bad day away from homelessness. Like one bad day, that's all it'll take.
Yeah.
And like you're like, luckily, I'm a little bit better off. I'm like one bad month, a full bad month away from it, and then you're like, and I'm getting really close to that whole bad month. Like,
yeah,
got closer. So
yeah, and it sucks, and there's a lot of folks that this is military specific. Is that if you're in the military and you get out and you don't have a job that if you're MOS or whatever they call it in other military branches, I don't know, your military occupational specialty does not transfer well over to the civilian world.
Right.
You're and you don't, and you can't pick up on the what do they call them, like they have like specific like programs to help you like transition out. I know for Marine Corps was like Tamp and Tamp, which didn't really help me out that much because I already had a job. But it doesn't, at the time, it didn't prepare me that much for the civilian world. And if you're, and this is me as like an IT guy, if you're a fucking grunt and you're coming from like literally fighting a war in Iraq or Afghanistan or anywhere else around the world, and then you get out, those, that what you did in the Marine Corps in that role does not transfer well in the civilian world. Like not at all. Like you might say, oh, you could just be a cop. No, like I don't think an infantry person is a good cop. Like that's not what they do. Like honestly, I think that they make probably some of the. Let me hold my tongue at this point.
They're going to perpetuate the system that is not what it should be today.
Yes.
Like, it is not a war fighting organization. It's a law enforcement organization. It does not mean that they're fighting the population that they're supposed to serve and protect. I don't think that you watch your tongue to say those kinds of things.
Okay.
I think that's so.
You put it in good words. Thank you. Because you can't have the us versus them mentality when you're supposed to be protecting and serving.
Correct.
And
yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. So I'm in this like it's California Marine Veterans group on Facebook or something. And a guy was kind of asking that same question. He's like, hey, I have an issue, right? I've been working to try to get into law enforcement. I've attended the academy. I filled out all the paperwork and did all the things. And I answered honestly some questions that maybe he should not have, which was that, he struggled after he got out for a while, went through a rehab program for his alcoholism and has been clean and doing fine for like, he was on his like 4th month or something. So he's gone through these other things. But like that was enough for him to stop getting answers. Like no one was talking to him about his work to try to get to law enforcement. And so he posted that whole thing in the thing. Hey, advice, what should I do next? And somebody was like, stop trying to be in law enforcement. Go do something else. Like, why do you think that that's the role for you? And so I think the word or the concept you were looking for was maybe like a skill bridge or hiring our heroes, which was one of those transition programs they have now.
Yeah, no, I don't know if they had it when I was in, but the problem, so when I was in, there was 2 problems. One, I don't know if they existed. And then 2, I already had a job set up, but they still did not like, there's a thing when you transition from being a Marine to being a civilian where you're just not prepared. Like I think most people are just not prepared. Like on just like basic levels. And I wasn't even in for that long. I was in for like 5 years, like a little less than 5 years. And when I got out, like I didn't understand that like working out every like on a regular regimen was a thing that I was quote unquote forced to do. But when I got out, like missing that whole component like made me gain a substantial amount of weight like very quickly. And then not knowing that in the civilian world, if somebody doesn't like you, like they don't tell you, they'll just like fuck you over. And like they're like little ninjas. You know what I mean? That will just like, at least in the Marine Corps, when somebody didn't like me, they'd fucking let me know. Like it'd be very obvious. But in the civilian world, it's not like that. And like learning how to like talk in civilian life, like, probably don't curse that much, even though I didn't do it much, when I was a civilian, but, or at least in that role. When I became like a contractor, that kind of, I regressed. But, yeah, there's like a lot of stuff that like they don't tell you when you get out that they should probably, go over, which hopefully it's changed now.
Yeah, most of the transition stuff has gotten better. There's still room, and I'm identifying some of those for some of the programs. One that's a great one, and this is what we brought up to him too, was a thing called through the VA. You can do vocational rehabilitation. It's actually, they pay for all of it too. So it's kind of similar to GI Bill, where you would have whatever you're trying to get certified or trained in, a degree specifically with GI Bill generally, right? Totally paid for. They do the same thing. So if you're like, gonna get a certification or want to get CCNA or cyber CISSP, like you go through the vocational rehab, it's all paid for.
Yeah, actually, there was when I went to that Veterans Day thing for my youngest daughter's school thing, which the first time I ever did one of those things. But I ended up talking to like her best friend's like dad, who was in the Navy, and he got, I think he's medically retired, and he was talking about that program. I didn't know that existed. I think I could do it now, but I'm not going to rehab because like I'm doing what I want to do. I'm just sort of. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. I mean, when we talk about it, I can tell you what we're doing. It's the thing you've wanted to do since you were 12. The same as like I've always wanted to deal with electronics and computers and things in some way. So same.
Yeah, but now it's like, I mean, it's losing its appeal now later in life, but it pays well. So yeah, it pays well.
I mean, you can help me mod a video game. We'll be all right.
Yeah, someday I gotta. That'd be nice actually. I used to game so much more, but now it's weird. It's weird gaming. Like as I'm older, is like noticing that like my my hand-eye coordination with like gaming isn't as great as it used to be. I'm starting to play games on normal mode now instead of hard all the time. Because I used to play it hard or very hard like for like forever, and over the past years, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna stop torturing myself by doing this and just play on fucking normal.
Yeah, that's why you gotta play simulation games. It's not about hand-eye coordination; it's about thinking. And now you got experience.
I mean, hand-eye coordination is still thinking. How fast you can think.
Yeah,
it's funny. Like,
that's slow, right?
Yeah, I read that book. It's a great book. And also I read The Revenge of the Tipping. See, there's other books that we'll get to. Revenge of the Tipping Point was quite good.
It was good, right?
Yeah. Have you read Nuclear War?
Yeah. Oh wait. Or are you talking about Nuclear Habits?
No, it's called Nuclear War.
No.
It's by give me a second, let me pull it up. It's like one of the most fucked up books that I've ever read. Ever. So it's basically like what would happen if we had a nuclear war. Basically like the world would end like less than a day. Like in nuclear war.
Within 36 to 48 hours, yeah, because there's no sunlight.
Yeah, we like the world would be fucked. It's by Annie Jacobson.
Okay.
It is quite good because it gives like the, what could happen, what would likely happen if somebody like launched a nuke at America, what they would hit, what would happen if they hit these certain things, what happens in an actual nuclear blast to human bodies, like with the different zones, what happens if you hit like which is illegal, war crimes, but nobody cares about war crimes when you're at war. But if you happen to launch a nuke at a nuclear power plant, like what would happen? It's called the devil scenario. It's pretty shitty what would happen. So yeah, if you live anywhere near a nuclear power plant, just hope that,
they don't target that.
They don't target that. And then also, if you're hit with a nuke, just hope that you're in the immediate blast zone so that you die immediately, immediate cremation, and you're not living somewhere outside the blast zone where you get blinded and terrible shit happens. And did you know there was like a
stuff too? All
yeah,
the just the radiation too. Yeah.
yeah. There was. Did you know there was some guy that actually, I forget his name, but there was a guy where he dropped like a radioactive isotope and it broke, and he got hit with like basically what would be like outside the blast zone, and they kept this dude alive for like, I think it was like 20 something days.
He was Japanese.
Yeah, and he was fucked. Like you would not want to live through that.
So this was, I remember, so Addison has listened to that one, like a podcast or something that broke that down several times. It's just for some reason she really wanted to.
Addison listened to that one? Jesus, all right.
So like, because it was like this series she was watching on like the worst accidents ever or whatever.
Yeah.
And so they got like this process that they had was for refining it, and they had to like literally carry a bucket that was filled with the stuff, but because the isotope was heavy, it would always sit low in the bucket. So you're holding the bucket, you're fine actually, and then you poured it into this other thing, and like something happened where he dropped it, and then once it spills out, then it's out, and so that was like, yeah, he was exposed at that point. Yeah. By being in the bucket, he was good, but as soon as he dropped it, I'm like, maybe this is not a good process.
Yeah, actually, it's another thing. Like the way that nuclear power works is both amazing and incredibly fucking stupid. Like the way that we use nuclear power, we basically use something that we cannot turn off to be a steam engine to power everything. And it's just like, to be a steam engine, like what the fuck? And you can't turn it, like doesn't make any fucking sense, but people are people. So yeah, like
with no storage capacity that's capable of handling it. Yeah, like we never figured. It's kind of crazy.
No. And now we're bringing back nuclear power because of AI, which is amazing. Because of the power requirements for AI. Is it Microsoft? I think it is Microsoft. They just they're going to recommission one of the reactors at is it 3 Mile Island? I think it's 3 Mile Island. The one that had a partial meltdown. Yeah, they're recommissioning one of those reactors to help power one of their data centers.
Sounds legit.
Yeah.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Just make the tech better, not a fucking steam engine. So
yeah. Well, like, have I told you the only way we reach a reasonable amount of like power storage concept, like the idea of building massive storage locations so that there's like a power plant and then a power storage place that's also a huge battery, basically.
Yeah, that's what we need is batteries. Yeah, better batteries, but yeah.
But like that's a dumb idea. Like having a single place that stores it. In order to reach the capacity we need, the better way to do it would be just have every single house have their own.
Yeah, distribute it. Yeah.
Because then it just makes so much more sense. But we're never going to do that.
Well, the problem is like there's so many dumb people that are on this planet. It's too many. It's not everybody. It's not even half, but it's enough loud people. You know what I mean? That are just they're just dumb enough. Of like literally, I posted a snippet of like Chinese EV tariffs, and it was like a short, and then somebody commented, and this is not even what we talked about in the short. And the short is like literally less than a minute. It's like, oh well, EVs run on fuel, and I'm just like, no, like they can, yes, like you have some power plants that they do, like a lot of them run on oil or diesel or whatever, coal, whatever, but what EVs are storing in their batteries is energy. So like where the energy source is from, it depends. Like you can get it from solar, you can get it from wind, you can get it from other things too, but they don't always run. Like if you live in California or a place that's sunny, and you have a solar array on your roof, like you don't need to. You're not recharging your batteries on fucking a fuel source. Like a a dead animal fuel source, which is not even dead animals. It's probably just like, dead matter fuel source. But people, they just cannot get over that. They're just thinking that, oh, well, it runs off, coal power plants, and that's what's powering every single EV on this planet. And then also just ignoring that EVs are more efficient. Even if you ran a diesel power plant and you gave all that power to EVs, the EVs would still be more efficient than a gas-powered engine. And I fucking love gas-powered cars, but they're not efficient. They're not.
Yeah, I don't think they'll ever go away. Like, we're never going to get rid of the old ones. I think that they need to remain as like a showpiece and a novelty. And
like horses.
Like,
people like to ride horses.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. People do. Yes, I love horses. Well, I mean, that's the same thing as, you don't ask the people what they want. You make the thing that is needed at the time. And that's what Ford said too. Because if he asked the people what they wanted, they would say they wanted a faster horse.
Yeah, they really would. And it's, horses they're cool, I guess, but
I mean, and that argument is so dumb anyways too, from just like a debate point of view. So you're like, so because we are bad at making this other thing, because we're not doing that efficiently, this other thing that could be better, we shouldn't do that. Like, well, then figure out how to make that other thing better. Like, find out how to create electricity more efficiently and create a system that does that, so that the cars aren't burning fossil fuels. It's crazy, right?
Yeah, because it's literally a finite resource. And if you want to be technical, the sun is also finite. But at that point we have different problems. You know what I mean?
Scale of concern there, I think, is okay. To worry about fossil fuels is reasonable. Like, that's maybe a couple hundred years. You're talking about
probably millions at this point. Yeah.
I think current estimate was 50 million years before the sun burns out.
Yeah.
We
will have evolved many times by then.
Yeah. So, we'll move on to other stars by then. So.
Yeah. We might be, we might be all Superman. We could fly by then without, mechanical means. But we're so far away from that point. It's crazy.
It's the yellow sun, so we just got to go find a red sun. We should be good.
There we go. The whole yellow sun thing, that still bothers me. Did I tell you about that? The sun's not yellow.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not yellow. Why do we call it yellow? I don't fucking get it.
No.
If somebody's, if you heard what I just said, and you think the sun is still yellow, go to the snow. Look at the snow. Is the snow yellow? No, because our sun is not fucking yellow. Because the snow is white. If it was yellow, if our sun was yellow, the snow would look yellow. So
it would just, well, I mean, white would be yellow.
Yes, which
it is all of the bands of light being provided to us by the sun, so,
and more
that we can see. Yeah.
There's more shit that we can't see, like that's out there, like ultraviolet. We can't really see that. A couple other ones too.
Did we have that? I think we had that RF discussion where I'm like, that is radio waves. And it's just, that's the radio waves we can see. And then there's these radio waves that are right outside of it we can't see. And then goes to ones we really, really can't see that we can talk on.
Yeah, that's just, it's trippy. Like, you think about like waves of things that are like sound, but that also you can see them as like, yeah, it's all like kind of like perception, where it gets like, what's actual reality, which is kind of, because like what I see is not what you see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just what my eyes picking.
Yeah. It's like, especially like if I was to give like somebody my glasses, like they would almost see what I see, like in reverse sort of. And it's like, it's sort of what I see, but not really, because you're still not getting the color that I see, because we all see different colors, which is weird.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I generally then ask the question, just imagine what it would be like if we could see a little bit more of the spectrum and could see infrared, like on our own.
Yeah, like was it the mantis shrimp does that?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's with infrared, and so it's like, it's still in the light. It's still being created by the sun. It still bounces off everything. You could see all of the things the same way. It just, have you seen the new night vision glasses?
No.
So the army just approved and is fielding the first round, and they're gonna, I think it's something like $3 billion over the next 5 years, the amount that they're building. But like, it's super good, like at being able to see in the dark, like we're used to seeing, where you get the kind of the green glow.
Does it not make it all flat? I hope, because that was annoying.
So to alleviate some of that, what it's doing is I don't know what system it's using. I still wanted to read up on it, but it's basically bouncing an initial thing off of it, and it's creating an outline around objects. So like it's outlining it. It looks like a video game, like highlighting targets, things. So it's like there's this shot of like a C-130 or something flying over, and the parachutists start dropping out of it. You can see the aircraft outlined. You can see every person and like parachute shape all outlined out there, even though it's like you wouldn't have been able to, like, you can tell there's a thing, but you can tell what it is now because it's like being outlined. I was like, wow,
that's cool. Yeah, that's useful, because like one of the things that was so when I used NVGs back when I was in the Corps was like it flattened everything. Like, yeah, you can see, but like your depth perception was like basically fucking gone. And I remember I was watching there was like a video that popped up where like people were like riding motorcycles at night with NVGs on, and I was like, I would not want to do that, because like that's fucking dangerous. It's hard to see like to perceive distance with those things on.
I had to do that. It sucks.
Yeah.
So like luck, and then so you probably were still working with like single eye, like single lens depth is gone, right? Because you have to like look through just one and it's flat.
Yeah.
Most of the Scout Rider setup ones we did, they would have double, so you're getting a separate image into each eye, which gives you a little bit better depth perception, but it still kind of sucked.
Yeah.
These are two lens, so that's helpful too.
We're getting there. It's all good.
It's good. I would look it up. Super cool looking video.
All right. Well, this went way longer than I thought I was going to do, and I didn't even talk about Kendrick Lamar. So yeah, I'll talk about it next week because I'm getting tired now.
Okay.
And I gotta get up early in the morning because apparently we're doing open mat for jiu-jitsu at like 8:30, so I gotta get up at like 7:30 so I can take some pre-workout so I don't feel as old when I get on the mat.
I gotta start making a green bean casserole first thing in the morning. So
green bean casserole. All right. So you're doing like, so it's green beans, then it's like the onion. What is those? It's the mushroom soup thing, right? And then like the French thing on top. The French.
Yeah, this one's gonna have bacon and white cheddar.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm gonna pick up. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, we found a cool recipe that sounds pretty awesome. So we're like, yeah, we're gonna try this one.
I'm not gonna cook tomorrow because I'm going to a fire station with my brother because he's working tomorrow. So just pick up something that's like pre-made. It's fine. So in the morning, I'm gonna brave a grocery store and pick up like some cookies or some shit, and then hopefully have fun. I haven't been to a fire station in a while, and hopefully my youngest will like it because I haven't taken her to like an actual fire station before. My oldest I have though, and she had tons of fun. Last time we went, what's it? Who doesn't like firefighter? I don't know. Arsonists?
Yeah.
Yeah, arsonists don't like firefighters.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the name of the podcast. I'm just kidding. That's definitely not going to be the name of this podcast, but maybe. I took my oldest because my brother invited us to go like on a ride along in a fire truck, and they got a call during the time, and it was like somebody got hit by a car and like fucked up their leg, and this is like when my oldest was like young. She was like maybe 10. And I was just like, yeah, don't look. Like, we're just going to look away. Like, you can't look at this person that's fucked up. And luckily, she didn't. I had to, like, convince her to, like, not to look. Because he got jacked up.
But what's she doing now?
She's a welder.
Oh, I knew. I was like, there was something. And for some reason, in my head, I knew it was like a skill profession.
Yeah.
Something. And so for some reason, my head went to nurse. And I was like, I bet something about being there and seeing, public service type role jobs. And she was like, I'm gonna do the thing too, but welding's badass too. So
yeah, and she's a badass welder. Like, she does like, honestly, I wish she would do like more artwork type stuff because she's like a really good artist. But I mean, she's her own person now. So, and she's really good at what she does. She's really good at welding. She actually does welding artwork now too. It's like kind of on the side. I'm very proud of the person who she is. And yeah, I think she's a cool person. Yeah.
You need to get her to donate a piece for our auctions.
You know what? I could do that because she has like this cool flower thing that she made with like car parts. Like
I'll do let's auction the shit out of that thing.
All right. I know she's probably gonna listen to this podcast. So Lily, yeah, you're being commissioned, and I'll contact you shortly.
And there's room for actual work too. Like if you want to make something that serves a purpose at some point, rather than like the art to auction is also super cool and it's very helpful. But there's eventually lots of welding and probably welding training too if you want to certify some people who could use the help to get into your field.
Yeah. If I can, that'd be some convincing. Like I was thinking, like I just get her to like come out here and like actually like help us, like actually build ambulances, but we don't have like funding to like pay a person to like live there to like be a full-time welder. So, but maybe someday we will.
Yeah, we'll do it in sessions. Like, hey, if that's a thing they're interested in, we'll find somebody, and if she's someone who's lined up for that, we'll figure out her schedule and how it works, and come out and spend a little bit of time training them.
Yeah, maybe she can.
That's part of why cabins and some other building too. So it's like, not everybody's going to want to stay in an ambulance. So hey, you come out to train some people for a week. Here's a cabin space over here you can stay in.
Yeah. All right, we got to wrap it up.
Later.
No, I got to use the head. So that's a thing.
I don't know what the Space Force calls it. Latrine? Because it used to come from the Army?
Probably latrine, yeah, which is weird. Every time somebody says latrine, I think of Robin Hood Men in Tights for some reason.
Yeah.
With the John thing, and they called her latrine. Anyway, because his mom's name was Latrine. That was Men in Tights, right?
The space shuttle calls it a waste collection system, so I mean, we could call it that.
Waste collection system. Damn.
It's too technical.
It is. Fucking nerds, man.
Yeah. Catch it.
All right, what do you got going on for the next couple of days?
Thanksgiving tomorrow. I don't know. Not a whole lot. Take a couple of days. I got to do some projects for class. I need to finish writing a memorandum of agreement between SDA and TUMEF. I need to figure out what we're doing for press release for this Hangar Foundation thing. Hopefully get the workshop out of the house set up a little bit. Start figuring out how we're going to build that up. And 3D print some stuff. Awesome.
You got a new printer. I got to watch the video. I haven't watched it because I was like kind of busy. I was I'll tell you about afterwards, personal stuff. But is that all you got?
That's it.
All right. So for me, I'm going to do some stuff around the house soon to make my living situation, I guess, a little bit better. Even though it's not bad or anything, I live in a fucking house that I pay for. But I want to make a space to where I can like actually like sit down and kind of like meditate and stuff. I've been getting into like some metaphysical shit, I guess, so to speak. I have a singing bowl, which if you're not familiar with a singing bowl, it's a kind of a cool thing. I bought a crystal one with the help of a friend of mine, which is nice. Now I got to buy some more because apparently you can't have just one. So, but I want to make a space to where I can have like an altar for like the people that I've lost, and just have like a space for just like me in my house, besides like my office, which is like, this is not like a space for like that kind of stuff. So got to make another space for that kind of stuff. And I'm looking forward to moving forward with that.
Nice.
So yeah, and that's it. And let's see. What does Old Ninja always say? Like and subscribe. You can see us at, we have a website called BenHatProductions.com/BTI. You can follow us anywhere at BTI. You know, we're on iTunes, Amazon, YouTube, X, even, or Twitter or whatever, even though we're probably going to jump off of that sometime soon. We're on Blue Sky. We're everywhere. So if you're on a place that has like media and we're not on there, hit us up and we'll get on there. So as long as you don't have to pay money for it. And even then, maybe.
Yeah. So I listen on Spotify works too.
Yeah, we're on Spotify too. So there you go. We're everywhere. All right. So with that, we're out of here.
See ya.
Oh, press the wrong button. Where's the right button? Yeah.
It's over there.
Yeah. There it is. I found it. Thank you.